Welcome to the Sign Guys Corner. It is my pleasure to have the anarchist Darin, the owner of ACW, in the presence of Sign Guys Corner.
Not quite the same as the corner of Sesame Street, which I visit frequently on PBS. A little bit more rough around the edges, kind of hardcore. I'm digging it.
Cool, I appreciate it.
Have fun, man.
Oscar the Grouch just left, man, so, you know, you missed him in the garbage can. So.
Portia Perez.
Hey, he said it, not me.
I like her. I know.
So, everybody wants to know, how did ACW get started?
You know what, like, basically, ACW was completely built on the idea that Texas was a joke. In the year of 2005, myself and Jacob Ladder, my former tag partner, we were traveling the country, we were everywhere, we were literally wrestling, you know, like 4 different states a week. We were everywhere, and the same thing kept ringing true. We would talk to people, and they'd be like, "Hey, where are you from?" We'd be like, "You know, we're from Texas." They're like, "Texas? There's still something going on down there?" And it's so insulting, not the fact that they said it, but the fact that it was true. There was absolutely nothing going on in my home state. And I felt like I had the mind to make good wrestling happen, but more importantly, I thought that I had the heart to make a good family environment happen, to make something that people can be really passionate about, something people can really believe in and really strive to make bigger and better. ACW started out as my passion project. It turned into my baby, and whenever times get rough, and there's been times it's been rough, never a time where we've been close to closing down or anything like that, but if even the thought starts to creep into my head, if you ever bring that up with anyone, like a Showtime Scott Summers, I realized really quickly that my baby was my baby. But it's like whenever you have a child and kind of a broken home, and the whole family raises it, the stepfather, the stepchildren all come together, the cousins, the nephews, the uncles, the aunts. That's what this turned into. This was my baby, but there was a lot of people who really loved it as much as me. ACW isn't mine anymore. It's not mine to close down. It's not mine to run in a completely different direction. It's not mine to move and tell these people they can't work here anymore, because it's just not mine anymore. It's ours. Just as much yours and these guys back here and Scott Summers and Brent Masters and El Hijo de Jack-O-Lantern and Aaron Starr have just as much right to call this their home, and they're just as big part of the family as I am, and as Rachel Summerlin is, and Portia Perez, or any name. And we basically just built it on that concept that we can not only do it better, which we knew we could do it better, but we knew we could do it right, and we knew we could do it passionately. And it has greatly exceeded our expectations. We're legitimately a national company. People always say you're the best in Texas, and I do find that incredibly insulting. We're not the best in Texas. We're way more than the best in Texas. And we're running St. Louis, so very soon we're going to be the best in the Midwest. We sell DVDs internationally. We sell a ton to Europe, Mexico, Canada. They're being sold in stores in Tokyo. ACW is a worldwide company, and it's built on the passion and the hard work of the people who are behind me, not me running the ship. I guide the ship. They're the ones that are rowing the oars and making the boat move. And it is insulting that we're the best in Texas, that other companies are, you know, the best in this area of Texas, or this area of Texas, or this area of Texas, because, like, quite frankly, no, you're not. You're not the best in North Texas. We're the best in North Texas. You're not the best in South Texas. We're the best in South Texas. And I wish I was saying this as, like, just a cocky, arrogant guy, but I'm not. First off, it's fact, but second off, ask anybody here, they believe it because they know it's true. And I would love to take all the credit in the world for it. Like, I'm just this great mastermind that put together the best product ever. What I did is I gave people opportunities, and I believed in people, and they took the ball and they ran with it. And they knew how passionate I was about it, and they took on that passion, and they made it bigger than I could ever imagine it being. And definitely bigger than I could ever do it on my own. I'm not the reason ACW is successful. The JT LaMotta's are the reason why ACW is successful. Matt Palmer tonight. The stuff he did tonight, he's stepped up to an entirely different league. He's finally got it. He went from being a professional wrestler to being a professional wrestler. He's as good as anyone. You know, all these guys. Matt Palmer is exactly what LaMotta was in 2007. It was just a guy that nobody believed in. LaMotta was doing a dress gimmick. He was doing in XCW, RCW, all these companies. He wasn't winning a match for like this really extended period of time. Just politically, because they can mess with him, they can make him look bad, so why not? Why not put him with Andy Dalton and do some really ridiculous hard body gimmick where, you know, they're two out of shape guys trying to work hard, and like, it's so stupid. He's so much better than that. All I did is I believed in him. I gave him the opportunity against Matt Sydal, now Evan Bourne, and the rest is history. LaMotta's been to Japan. He's wrestled. He's been my tag team partner in Ring of Honor. He's a worldwide name. He's great. JT LaMotta is great because he was given an opportunity and he took the ball and ran with it, the same way Matt Palmer is. And that's what ACW was built on, and that's why we exist.
So how long has ACW actually been around?
Our first actual show is December 21st, 2006. It was kind of what we call like a preview show, and it wasn't exactly what we would be, but it was a pretty fair representation of what we would come to be and what our vision was. A lot of good wrestling and a lot of even better violence. And then less than even a month later, I think it was January 14th, 2007, was our first major show, Guilty by Association, which is our flagship event. And the main event, Mike Dell, Scott Summers, and Jacobs Pliskin. Mike Dell just recently left the company due to his career versus career match. Jacobs Pliskin's still here, Showtime Scott Summers still here, and that means a lot that the nucleus of this company, despite a lot of people who have left, the nucleus is still here because it's the place to be. Where else are you going to go? And no offense to anyone, this might come off as me being a dick, but everyone who's left here, their name means a lot less now than it did then. And their names pop up on a lot less results, especially on the national scene, because ACW is a place to be. And once again, I'd love to take credit for that, but it's only so much as my credit to take.
So you're an owner and a wrestler. How do you separate your lives while you're here at the company?
The inmates run the asylum. Not as much as people think, actually. I've only, since ACW started, I've really only been a professional wrestler since Robert Evans came along and brought the best out in me. I was lazy. I didn't care because I didn't have to. I was easily over because I was in a position of power. I could go out and break a couple light tubes and be a star. So that's what I did. I was lazy. So from that perspective, the first couple years of ACW, there were a lot of great matches, and I did work hard a lot of the time, but I really worked down to a level that I wasn't really happy with. And I was really down on myself as a wrestler. I was down on myself as a performer. And Robert Evans came along, and we had an incredible feud, and he pushed me to my limits, and he showed me that I was still an incredibly skilled professional wrestler. And it's only been kind of an issue since January of this year. Now I'm a promoter and a wrestler, and honestly, I'm more of a wrestler than I'm a promoter. There's a lot of people backstage, from Biss to Mason to Rachel Summerlin to the referee Donnie. There's people you wouldn't even know who take up a lot of the slack, so I can be a professional wrestler again. So it's kind of turned this weird corner from me giving people opportunities to those people giving me the opportunity.
So, you have annual tournaments like Guilty by Association, the Lone Star Classic, and to me, the Joshi tournament is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
How did all these get started?
Lone Star Classic, actually, before ACW became Anarchy Championship Wrestling, it was a little tiny company called American Championship Wrestling, ran by a guy named Prince Fontenot, that believed in myself and Jacob Ladder enough to basically hand us the book and, make a wrestling show that people will be proud of. And the final show for American Championship Wrestling was just going to be a throwaway show. What are you going to do? So I decided to run a tournament. Completely my idea. Let's run a tournament and let's link it to the state. Texas is an embarrassment, so why is there a reason to be embarrassed? So I believe it was December 17th, 2006. We ran the first ever Lone Star Classic. We brought in a lot of guys that we worked with from Georgia, like Caleb Conley, who's been working Ring of Honor lately, Kyles Matthews, who's worked Chikara. There's Bobby Hills on it, and even a guy named Schizo that I know you know. He works RCW now. He's a great wrestler. He actually won the first Lone Star Classic, and his reward was he faced Ian Rotten at Guilty by Association. They tore the house down, had a great match, and unfortunately, due to the politics and whatnot, Schizo doesn't work for ACW anymore, but that doesn't mean he's any less great or any less important. He was the first ever first ever Lone Star Classic winner, and he should always be remembered by that. You know, no matter who likes him and who doesn't. And it was just something special we wanted to do, and it was a really good thing. And as far as the American Joshi tournament, that I can't take any credit for other than the fact that I bought some plane tickets and we paid the bills. Originally, you know, obviously like creative and that stuff, but the person that pushed that upon me first was Portia Perez. She really felt passionately about the promotion and thought that we would have the ability to make women's wrestling what it should be. And a lot of companies who are the best women's wrestling promotions in the world or in the country, they're not. ACW is, and that's not a cocky statement. If you watch the American Joshi tournament, I dare you to find another DVD that's as good as the DVD from this year's tournament. It's just not going to happen. And the girls are on board. They believe in the product. That's their night. They can go anywhere in the country and wrestle, and they're wrestling. They come here, and they're fighting with all they have from start to finish. They're out to prove a point. They're out to show how good they are because that's their stage. They're not going to get crappy booking that holds them down. They're not going to get matches against people that don't belong in the ring. Those girls are going to work the best girls in the world, and they're going to be able to do what they feel they can do. They're not going to be held down. They're going to get the creative freedom to go out there and make the best of it. And they do that, as you saw from that tournament. There isn't a better women's wrestling show in the country. You can't find a better DVD than that DVD.
I thought the DVD was awesome. I bought the first one. I thought it was awesome. I didn't get to see the first one personally.
Yeah.
So I had to buy this.
The DVDs translate, though. If you watch the first DVD, it holds up. It's a great wrestling show on DVD. The live events, obviously, there's just a different feeling.